Welcome to the sixth lecture on management and entrepreneurship for IT industries. In this lecture, we are discussing about the organization function of the management activity. So we are discussing organizing, nature of organizing, and purpose of organizing. At the end of the lecture, the student will have a better understanding of organizing. The content covered in the last class are the different types of plans, that is the standing plans and the single use plans. In the standing plans we discussed about policies, procedures, rules and methods. In single use plans we studied programs and budgets. In the steps of planning, so we looked into the various steps which are involved to make the planning more dynamic. So it involves steps like establishing the goals, establishing premises, then deciding the planning period, then finding alternative course of action, then evaluating and selecting alternative courses of action, then developing the derivative plan, measuring and controlling the process. So these are some of the steps which are involved in efficient planning activity. Now coming to the organizing. Now what is actually organizing? There is no standard definition for this word, that is organization. Different writers have defined the word differently. Now we will consider the example of the different management expert. The first expert is Amitai Edisoni. So according to him, an organization is a social unit or human grouping deliberately structured for the purpose of attaining specific goals. Now according to the another management expert, that is Sahan, so he defines organization as the rational coordination of the activities of a number of people for the achievement of some common explicit purpose or goal, that is through division of labor and function and through a hierarchy of authority and responsibility. Now according to the Allen, who is one of the management expert, so he defines the term organization as the process of identifying and grouping of the work to be performed, and it involves defining and delegating responsibility and authority and establishing relationships for the purpose of enabling people to work most effectively together in accomplishing their objectives. Now according to Finner and Sherwood, and the organization is the pattern of ways in which the large number of people and too many to have intimate face-to-face contact with all others and engaged in a complexity of tasks and relate themselves to each other in the conscious systematic establishment and accomplishment of mutually agreed purposes. Now in terms of all the above definitions which we have seen, that is by Amitai, then Sahan, then Allen, and then Finner and Sherwood. So according to all these definitions, the corporation, armies, schools, hospitals, prisons, etc. are all organization. But the things like tribes, ethnic, friendship, group and families, they are not organizations. They cannot be told as an organization because they do not involve any significant amount of conscious planning, coordination or a proper or deliberate structuring. So now what are the some of the characteristics of an organization. Organization has a purpose, or it has a goal or one or more goals, and which are nothing but the tasks of planning. Now then the second is organization has a clear concept of major duties or activities that are required to achieve the purpose of the organization. Then organization has the capability of classification of activities into jobs, and organization has the establishment of relationships between the jobs in order to ensure coordination, and this is achieved through the division of labor and delegation of authority. A group of organizations which are sharing a common profile of characteristics are called organizational configuration. Next, we discuss about the nature of an organization. The organization consists of the group of people. So organization normally consists of group of people, and they form the dynamic human element of the organization. That is, they are identifiable group of people, and they are contributing their efforts towards the attainment of goals. Then the organization has a common purpose. So organization helps in identifying the various tasks and the various tasks which are to be performed and which are assigned to the individuals in order to perform and to achieve the common objective or the common purpose of the organization. Then there is a coordination among the organization, and there is a coordination among the people of the organization. So that is one of the important nature of an organization. The organization ensures to achieve the proper coordination amongst the people working in various departments of the organization, and the organization ensures that the integrated efforts to achieve organizational objectives or goals. Then organization fosters authority. The organization delegates authority to the managers with the responsibility and accountability for the discharge of their respective duties, and also amongst different hierarchical levels in an organization. Then next, one more nature is there is an environment. So organization are a part of the larger environment, and hence they are influenced by the external environment. Then organization provides the division of work. The total work of an organization is divided into smaller activities, and they are in the form of different functions and subfunctions. It helps in nurturing and growing special skills and talents by the virtue of division of labor. Then management, that is organization, fosters communication. So it facilitates seamless communication among the different peoples of different cadres in the organization. Then the organization also helps in achieving financial, physical, material, and human resources. Organization also helps in the realization of the plans made by the managers. The next is the purpose. So, what is the purpose of having a proper organization? The first purpose of organization is to facilitate pattern of communication. By grouping activities and people, the structure or the organization facilitates a proper communication between people centered between the people which are centered on their job activities. Then the second purpose of organization is to allocate authority and responsibility. The organization specifies who is to direct whom and who is accountable for what results. The structure, that is, this type of organization helps the organization members to know what are their roles and how it relates to other roles or how it relates to others' role. Then third purpose of organization is to locate decision centers. Organization structure determines the location of decision making in the organization. That is, the organizing function decides where, in what place the decision has to be made, whether the decision has to be made at the top level or at the middle level or at the supervisory level. For example, a departmental store may leave pricing decision to the lower level manager, while the oil refinery pricing decision is at the top level. Okay, so that is how the organization helps to make decisions at particular cadres. Then next, the next purpose of organization is to create proper balance. Organization structure creates the proper balance and it emphasizes on the activities. People which are responsible for the enterprise success might be placed higher in the organization so that the organization builds to a larger extent. Then the next purpose of organization is to stimulate creativity. So organization stimulates independent and creative thinking by providing well defined areas of work with a broad attitude and the development of new and improved ways of doing the activities. Then the next purpose is to encourage growth, so which is very important for the development of the organization. The organization structure provides the framework within which an enterprise functions. If the organization structure is flexible, that is, if it is adaptable to the changing environment, then it will help in meeting challenges and creating opportunities for the growth. The next purpose is to make use of technological improvements. A sound organization structure which is adaptable to changes can make the best possible use of the latest technology that is currently available. Now, in totality, what we can say about both nature and purpose of organization is, so organization helps to identify and assign tasks to the employees. Then organization helps to establish who would report to whom. Then organization helps to delegate authority to managers with designated responsibility and accountability. Then organization helps to facilitate seamless communication between individuals and the different departments. Next, the organization helps to ensure there is an interdepartmental coordination exists. Then organization helps to optimally utilize the financial, physical, material and human resources. Then organization helps to realize the plans made by the manager. Then organization also helps to nurture and grow the specialization of the labors. Once we decide or we know the purpose of organization, then it is quite interesting to know how the process of organization takes place, or what is the process of organizing. Now the first step in organizing is to know the objectives of the enterprise. The objectives determine the various activities that are needed to be performed and the type of organization that is needed to be built for this purpose. Then the next step is, after considering the objectives, then we have to decide what to do inside and what outside the boundaries of the organization. That is, this means making manufacture versus buy choices for different goods and services, and choices about the alliance with the other firms. Then once the boundaries are being defined, then the next step is to group all closely related and similar activities into departments and sections. For example, the activities of manufacturing concern can be departmentalized into departments like production, marketing, finance and personnel. Now we need to remember here that sometimes even diverse activities may be closely related and grouped in one department. So hence we may find intra-plant transportation, warehousing and the entire traffic management being placed with the production department, as it makes most use of it. So this is how the organization is being carried out, that is, the organizing activity proceeds. So what we discussed in the today's session is about the organizing. As we have seen, there is no any standard definition available for organization. So the most well accepted definition is, it is a social unit or human grouping which is deliberately structured for the purpose of attaining specific goals. Then we discussed the characteristics of organization. So the organization has a purpose. It may have a single goal or multiple goals, and these are already defined in the task of planning. So organization has a clear concept of the duties and activities that are required to achieve. Then organization provides the classification of activities into jobs and establishes relationship between these jobs. Then we discussed about the nature of organization. So the nature of the organization include the people, then they have a common purpose, then there is a coordination, authority, environment, division of work, communication, and there is an achieving of financial, material and machine resources. Then organization also helps in realization of the plans made by the managers. Then what is we also discussed about the purpose. So the purpose of organizations are many. To list some of them are, it facilitates pattern of communication, it allocates authority and responsibility, then it locate design center decision centers, then it create proper balance, it stimulate creativity, it encourages growth, and it helps to make use of technical improvements. Then we also seen that how the organizing proceeds on the process of organization. First we have to decide the objectives of the enterprise, then we have to decide what should be done in the inside and what should be there at the outside, and after that we need to divide the activities into different departments and sections. So that is how the organization proceeds. Then the today's lecture describes the knowledge of the organizing activity, and it starts with the defining of the organization, and it go on discussing the details of the organizing activity. So hence the today's lecture falls under the category of L2 because it understands or it narrow down the discussion to the organizing in depth. So hence today's lecture falls under the category of L2. So that's for the today's class. Thank you.